turned it
off. Oh. Okay. Thank you all for coming today to hear the Los Alamos Police Department, represented by Sergeant Benjamin Irving, who's going to be talking about most common fraud scams in New Mexico. I have been looking forward to this talk probably since last June or July when I joined what? Am I not close enough or I'm too close? But how is that now? Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better? Okay. Well, I've been looking forward to this talk since I joined the Forum Committee last summer, and I got together with Sergeant Irving in October, and we've been talking back and forth about it. So I'm really excited. How many of you have been scammed or come close to being scammed? It's quite common, isn't it? If so, you're not alone. In 2024, reports from the Federal Trade Commission identified 2.6 million fraud reports and 1.1 million reports of identity theft. And I'm sure that is underreported because not everyone tells you about what's happened to them. They're embarrassed. I have had an identity theft. I have had a scam where I ended up sending $2,000 to somebody in Haiti, and I've had lots of other close calls. So hopefully that won't happen to me again after Sergeant Irving teaches me how to avoid that. So with the advent of artificial intelligence, it's going to make the probability of internet fraud much more potent. And so we have to be careful. I think we all need to keep up our guard and be suspicious of offers that are too good to be true. So I'm happy to have Sergeant Irving here today. He's going to present the forum on the most common fraud scams in New Mexico. He's going to discuss how to recognize different kinds of scams, how to prevent oneself from becoming a victim, that's what I need to learn, and how to report scams. So Sergeant Irving has worked with the Los Alamos Police Department for 14 years. He's a field training officer. He's a domestic violence instructor for the other policemen. He has general instructorship in a variety of topics. He's the Los Alamos Police Department's Chaplain Corps liaison. He holds a Master's of Science degree in law enforcement from the University of San Diego. And he is a graduate of the Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command. So he's got a lot of experience and a lot of training. He works as the Community Liaison Unit Supervisor for the Los Alamos Police Department. So that's why he's here today. And we will have a question and answer session after the talk, so please hold your questions until that time. Now, I'll turn the microphone over to Sergeant Irving. That's how it works.
Thank you, Earl and Marie, for that generous introduction. I greatly appreciate it. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Hope everyone's having a good day, and hopefully you'll have a good time with this presentation I'll give you. Hopefully you'll learn some new information that will help protect you in the future and be able to identify things before they occur. So in addition to what Earl Marie said in that introduction, I also wanted to say is I have been in Los Alamos for approximately, well, almost 30 years now, on and off a little bit. I was like, some of you that have been around for a while might have seen me years ago, about turn of the century. I was working at Ed's Food Market as my first job in this town. So it goes back a little ways. I worked at Metzger's for several years as well. So Los Alamos is near and dear to my heart with a lot of things. And it's part of the reason when Earl Marie reached out to me about this, I jumped at the chance to get the opportunity to do it, because Los Alamos, unfortunately, is a target of scams. It happens all over, but Los Alamos particularly, for a variety of reasons, is a target for this. And I'll explain it as we go through the process, okay? So anyway, as we go through this, it's the most common fraud scams that happen here in New Mexico. And what I'm hoping you're going to be able to take away by the time it's over is how to recognize it, how to prevent it, and then how to report it. And that way you protect yourself and protect any friends and other people that might be experiencing this, that may not realize it at the time. So why does it matter in New Mexico? New Mexicans in 2024 lost about $76 million. About $35,000 per person if you break it down by the amount of population we have in the state. Okay? It's a huge increase over 2023. Now, anyone want to take a guess what the reason was there was such a spike in 2024 versus the previous year? What was that? No. But what it actually came down to, yeah. What it came down to, much of it was people were finally being able to return to normal in the post-COVID world. It was like from that time of end of 2019 to 2023, everything was still upended, even when they opened things back up again. So like people were still trying to get back to normal, so they weren't investing. They weren't taking money and spending money on luxurious trips or anything like that. They were holding their money because of what had happened, and they weren't sure where it was going to go. I'm going to end up falling off of this thing. So 2024 rolls around, and it finally took, that was about 4 years worth of time. It took 4 years for things to kind of, even out finally again. And then so people started investing. They started looking at trips. They were like, hey, I've been bottled up for several years. I want to take trips. I want to go buy things. And the scammers identified that and started going after people. Now, here in Los Alamos, just in the last 5 years, we've started over 700 calls for scams and things. And those are the ones that have been reported. Now, those have varied. Some of those are hundreds of dollars of loss, and some of those equal up into the millions. Not like $1 million in one shot, but a scammer has strung somebody along for an extended period of time and gotten $30,000, $200,000, $700,000. Over time, it equates up. And the person, unfortunately, wasn't realizing what was happening after it took nearly 2 years to realize that their money was disappearing. So my ultimate goal for this is I want to help you spot these common scams, avoid losing any money, and how to report that fraud quickly so we can defend you faster. And if you do lose money, hopefully we can get it back for you. Now, at a glance, these are the top scams you'll see nationally. Now, these happen everywhere. And as Earl Marie said, she said there were about 2 million some odd reported frauds, according to the IC3. There are 400 million people in this country, approximately, and you only get 2 million fraud calls. It's much more rampant than that, but people don't report it for a variety of reasons that we're going to go through. But all these ones you see here, particularly like the government one, we're a government town. It only hits about 17,000 or so were officially reported or officially hit the criteria of what a government fraud scam was. So 17,000 people. Now in Los Alamos, we get that consistently because we're a government town. Other places that are more rural and stuff, they don't experience that one as much. And that's part of the reason it doesn't get reported as often. But you also have unemployment scams or employment scams. People have been laid off. They're looking for a job, and these people send things through, false or what we call, spoofing Indeed, like Indeed.com or Jobs.com or something like this to get people excited. Hey, we're going to offer you a job. Send us this. You're going to need to pay for your application fee and this kind of stuff. And this is how they bring in money for this. You have tech support ones. These are big, and I'll show you a video here later in this presentation that'll kind of outline that a little more. Investment in cryptocurrency. Okay, that's a big one. Somebody mentioned something about, where AI is starting to go and everything's becoming digital within the physical media, how money works, whether money's really there, what's the value behind it. AI is going to create it potentially has some good things, but it also has a lot of ways that people can abuse it, and people can take, or they can rephrase how an AI is set up that it does take money instead of playing the market for you the right way. Okay? And this one, unfortunately, this is big up here. Romance and dating scams, extortion. I'll get more into it. And then phishing and spoofing, I've got the definitions for that. That does happen a lot up here because, again, we're a government town. A lot of emails go through between these different government channels, Los Alamos County, the laboratory. They've got the FBI's over there. You've got the local law enforcement as well. You've got the sheriff's office. There are constant emails going around that are designed to hopefully hook somebody in to click on something that's going to give somebody access to particular things within these government sectors. And because I'm going to assume, based on a lot of people over here have probably worked at LAN at some point in their career up here. And unfortunately, a lot of our information's out there. So I'll break down each of the scams individually as we go through here. So here, the government and IRS imposter scams, right? They call you, they send emails claiming to be, they're the IRS, they're the Social Security Administration, there's some other agency, the Treasury or something like this, or the Bureau of Land Management even. They'll threaten you with arrest, your loss of your license, or they'll demand that you give them prepaid cards like gift cards, what they call green pack cards, and they'll have you fill these with money and then scratch them off and send them the PIN numbers. And then it's hasta la vista. You never get it back if that happens. And when you start to question it, what you end up doing is and this is something they figured out over time. It used to be if you questioned them, it completely discombobulated their idea of trying to keep the con going. Then they came up with the idea, hey, now let's add a supervisor onto this so it sounds authentic. So you're starting to question something's going on, and then they'll send you to somebody else who continues the con within the same scope of things. That con now sounds very authentic because of who you're talking to. It's like you're going to talk to somebody who might have an inability to speak good English, or they may have poor grammar or something like that, and you start pushing on that. Now all of a sudden you're getting somebody that is, quote, more educated, showing up to lend credence to what's happening. One of the tips I'd leave you with here, the government agencies, we don't demand any payment by gift card. We pretty much don't demand payment, period. Payment in the form of, at least how I operate, comes in the form of an arrest warrant was drafted, a person was arrested, and they're paying the fee at the court or the bond amount on a warrant. No police officer is ever going to sit there and ask you on the side of the road, you need to pay that fee now. If that does happen up here, you let me know, because that should not be happening. But anyway, yeah, the government doesn't do that. They want to verify that the money that they're taking in for taxes or whatever is verified coming from the right person. That doesn't go with a gift card. So anybody ever asks you to give them a gift card to pay for something that they're like, oh, hey, you have land that you didn't know about. Here, you pay the lien on it and you get the land. You have 100 acres in Idaho or something. Can you pay me in a gift card? Doesn't make sense. But in the moment, a lot of people don't catch it because it sounds so real. So I'm going to play a little video for you here. This video.
Can you verify me your home address?
No, I will not.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm not going to give you my address. If you have my file on me, you should know what my address is.
Miss Stephen, you need to understand one thing over here, that I'm trying to cooperate with you on the recorded line, and even you need to cooperate with me. Recent mailing address?
My current address is 205 Saunders, Saunders Street in Apex, North Carolina.
Want me to read out the complete information to you about the allegation from which you can now. There are legal enforcement agencies involved in this case. So before we go ahead and give out the complete information to you, I need you to verify me with the last 4-digit number of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to confirm my social security number with you.
Ms. Stephens, I'm not asking you to confirm your social security number. What I'm asking you just to verify me with the last 4 digits of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to do that.
Social Security Administration and law enforcement agencies has found 25 fraudulent bank accounts opened and used fraudulently using your social security number to commit a fraud of more than $10 million. This account were used to transfer and receive funds for illegal local and international bank wire transfer include like money laundering, drug trafficking, and for internal revenue service, tax scams all over USA. I need to give them the details. So can you just tell me how many bank accounts do you own as per your knowledge and information?
I would like to just speak to your supervisor now, please.
And you told my officer that you want to speak to a senior officer, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now go ahead and let me know how many bank accounts are originally owned by you, which has nothing to do with the illegal activities.
Well, if it has nothing to do with illegal activities, why do I have to give you tell you how many bank accounts I have?
See, if you do not tell me how many bank accounts you have, we'll go ahead and suspend all the bank accounts which are connected to your social security. So don't blame us if you lose any money. We are trying to help you out over here, okay?
Well, I just don't understand how giving you I would like to know what the allegations are against me and what you're going to take out a warrant for.
Right now, there are 2 criminal charges against you. Number 1, drug trafficking. And number 2, money laundering. Okay?
Well, that's better than the 25 the first guy told me were out against me. And they've hung up on me.
Okay. So it kind of funny, but I mean, it is legitimate that this is the kind of thing that they do. If you noticed in that phone call with her, she kept him on task, started calling him against the things that he was saying that had no basis whatsoever. 25 felony charges. No, I was like, I'm not going to give you my social security number. One of the big things they did, the scammer was asking for the last 4 digits of the social security number. Guess what's the thing that's out there on the internet that a lot of people can find? The first 5. The last 4 is what they need to confirm. And that's why they say, like, I don't need your whole social security number. I just need the end of your social security number. Okay? Those of you that worked at, well, I guess I should do it like this. Show of hands, how many people have worked at Lanel over the course of some point in their career? Yeah. Anybody remember the data breach they had about 8 years ago or so? Yep. Most of our information was in there. My information was in there. A lot of your information is out there. Okay? The things that they have a hard time finding are the last 4 digits of that social, right? Because somebody sold it off, but they hold it back. So they see, I can make this money, I just need to find out the last part. And that's why the scammers go asking for things like, oh, I need the last 4 digits of your social security number, not the whole thing. So it feels as if, oh, okay, I'm not giving away all my information. They've already got it. She also said, hey, I'd like to speak to your supervisor. Now, this one's a little different because she set it up where if you notice the person who then came on, how much more, I guess you could say, articulate were they talking on the phone, the supervisor, compared to the person she was originally talking to? okay? And the way he responded, he just disregarded her question, you know, about what are the warrants being taken out for, right? Originally, he completely disregarded the question. He just rolled right into, you could face, you know, charges and this kind of stuff. He's reading from a script. So they literally have, these guys have scripts in front of them. When they're talking to you and you say something, if it's within the thing, it's branching paths and all these kind of things to sit there and say, okay, you asked for this money, they asked this question, go over here, ask this. Now come back over here. I mean, it is literally drawn out for them, like this. And one of the challenging things with this is a lot of times these scammers themselves actually they're not bad people trying to take your money. These people also are being victimized. And they're essentially put in these shops or these data centers to gather your information and gather your money for somebody else. And they get, you know, like a 1% cut or whatever it is that ends up happening out of that. So it's something to remember. They're not necessarily doing this also to be illegal or to take advantage of you. They don't really have any other choice either. So it's just things to think about. Now, when you went through this, as you saw, the officer kept him on the line, kept asking him questions, didn't give him her address. She gave him the address of the police department, right? Then when the supervisor gets on there and she asks another question, and then he just hangs up. Because at that point, they looked up the address and realized who they were talking to, right? So, I mean, it's funny in a way, but this is how they try to do it. Now, moving on to the next type, tech support and remote access scams, okay? These ones are really big. They pose a tech support like Geek Squad for Best Buy, Verizon, or Microsoft. Microsoft business suites are on just about every computer you're going to find out there. And then Apple's got its own version too, right? And they'll call or they'll send you an email requesting remote access or payment for some sort of fix to your computer, or your warranty's going out. Hey, you can get another 3 years for $1,000. If anything goes wrong with that computer, it's going to get completely replaced. Well, the setup of digital media now and how fast technology is moving, that computer you bought last year is obsolete by the same time the next year. All right? So they can say, oh, I'm going to give you this warranty because the thing's going to crash soon enough, and this is how they prey on it. Okay? If they do get access in your system, if somebody were to click on it and say, yes, I give you remote access to my system, they then go about, most likely they're going to install malware on your computer, which is essentially a digital forensics tool that they use that starts pulling your information out. It looks for bank account numbers. It looks for your name. It looks for your social security number. It looks for, what do you call it? Like investment funds or something like that. If you have Mission Square or Charles Schwab or something, it's looking for those kind of things. Okay? And then it'll steal your credentials, right? If it's a work computer, they can now get into your job site. And now there's real problems potentially starting. Because they're not just after your money. This is also another way that they go after secrets. Okay? So never allow, if somebody calls you or sends you an email and says, hey, I need to remote access independently verify who that person is. Hang up and call the real person, not what they're giving you. If they give you a number or something, say, oh yeah, call this person, don't call that. Look it up online, actually look for a number. So this next video, this is an example of one of the Geek Squad scams.
All right, here we are in April 2024, and the Geek Squad email scam continues to go around. It's an invoice scam claiming that you owe money, maybe $300, $400, $500, $600, something crazy, for a subscription for Geek Squad's annual PC protection plan, and it's a scam. The way this works is that you're going to receive it probably in your spam, maybe you're in your inbox, and it's going to claim that you owe a lot of money. And the point here is the scammers, they don't want you to call the real Geek Squad. What they want you to do, they want you to look at this fake invoice they sent you, which has the Geek Squad logo and looks pretty official. It might even have your email address in the actual PDF they send over, which shows you that they personalized each one of these, which is not easy. And so I received one with my email address, and it said I owed $389.95. And of course, whenever you receive this, if you don't know it's a scam, you're going to be like, I have to call them and make sure they don't charge me this money. And that's what the scammers want you to do. They want you to see the phone number they put on the fake invoice, and then you call that phone number thinking you're getting through to Geek Squad or whatever. It goes to scammers. And, you know, I've read stuff before about how this is probably coming from India specifically, not other countries that maybe have these sorts of scams. I don't know exactly what's going on with the one that I received here, but it's an 818 number. It does not go to an official Geek Squad phone number. It's going to be someone who's going to try to scam you. They're going to say, hey, I want to connect your computer remotely. Or, you know, if they do that, they're going to connect your device, and then they're going to claim that they're doing something they need to do. They might ask you to pay the invoice. They might ask you to go to a store and buy Visa gift cards or MasterCard gift cards to pay for this. Don't do that. That's a classic scam tactic. Basically, you don't want to get involved in this. And I hope that you didn't, and I hope that I was able to save you. And if I did, hit the like button down below, comment with your favorite breakfast.
Now it just goes into subscribe to me. So, but yeah, that right there, it comes across looking very official. Now, did everybody notice what the area code was on that billing number that they sent? Yeah, it's California. Geek Squad operates with Best Buy. Best Buy operates out of Minnesota. So things like, and that's the quick and simple way of doing it is if you get something like that, look up the number. Because if their main office is out of Minnesota, they might have subsections and stuff like that, but their main area, especially when they're dealing with these kind of warranties and that kind of thing, main office generally handles that most of the time because they want to keep their money. So they want you talking to them. So just, you see an area code, check the area code first thing, and then see where the main office is of the business that's sending you that kind of document. And you notice that one also, they played in multiple, it started out as the, okay, here's the Geek Squad scam, here's the thing, and then it went into, hey, they would ask, as he was pointing out, they ask you to pay for via gift card or green pack card or something like that. Again, a business is not going to ask you to pay via a gift card. And it is one of the most common things out there. We've even talked with Smiths here to alert them because they had that Coinbase and that green pack thing for a while there. We went and educated them so they knew what to look for if somebody came in and said, I want to put $5,000 on this gift card. And they're like, so they asked the question like, why? Oh, somebody told me to. And then they call us. So that's one of the ways we're trying to get in there to try to prevent it from happening with people. But that means getting out there and talking to all of you, talking to the businesses, trying to keep on top of it. So one of the next ones is the investment in cryptocurrency type scams. Okay, they'll promise you the world on this, you know, high return, low risk. Hey, I'm with Charles Schwab. You can put in $5,000. Your guaranteed rate of return is 15% in the next year. Just like, you know, it's like the CD, like a CD, a cash deposit comes out at I think 5% right now, and they'll promise you easily like double or triple it to try and, you know, get people involved or get people excited. They're like, I can make a lot of money, right? Get rich quick scheme, except instead of the individual trying to do it like they used to do back in the past, now it's a third party that's trying to do it to that person, right? So you get false trading platforms. So everyone, I don't know how many people might have it, but there's platforms such as Coinbase, which is kind of like Bitcoin, and then some of these digital currency platforms. But there are knockoffs of these that look like the real thing. You start putting your info in there, your bank accounts and those kind of things. Now they're just pulling money out. So be very careful if you have certain apps on your phone, if you're looking at like trading off the stock market or something like that. Just make sure and verify that what you are downloading is a legitimate application, because some of them, people can build applications all over the place. And some of them are designed to just get your info in there, and then they just yank the info and then the thing stops working. So the biggest part of this that they'll do is they'll pressure you to invest really quickly and stay secret about it. Now, I know everybody here would know it, but if somebody walked up to you and says, I have $1 million idea, You give me $1,000, I will give you part of my $1 million idea. In this world, is that normal? Does somebody come up with that $1 million idea and go to share it with people? They don't. I was like, so it's one of these things to be wary of. It's like they will try to pressure you and say, hey, you'll make out on this greatly. It's like, oh, you know, and they, again, because a lot of times they have a lot of your personal information, like, oh, your 401k took a big hit in 2008. You can make up that money in 6 months. Just here, help me with this. Okay. So the main thing to do, verify the registration of those investment firms. Look it up online, call their main offices. And if somebody offers you unsolicited financial advice, you know, just out of the blue, you get some email, somebody says, hey, I've got a great deal for you. Here we go. Those are the kind of things that would just push them right into your delete box. They're not worth having around. And then this one here, this one is much more much more underreported. And unfortunately, this is because there's a lot of embarrassment that comes with this kind of scam. So people don't want to tell police that they got taken like this. They don't want to tell family and friends that they got taken like this. And what these guys do, guys and gals, they'll build an emotional relationship with you. It's like we probably all know somebody who they've either widowed or they've gotten divorced over time. And you know, human beings, we are social. We want to be part of a group. We want to be part of another person. It means something to us. They prey on this. They prey on this relationship desire. But they'll do it online. And because nowadays it's not analog the way it was anymore. I was like, I cannot believe the stuff I see from high schoolers these days of what their idea of dating is. It absolutely boggles my mind. So as an example, when I grew up, not to date myself, but when I grew up, I had the analog childhood and I had a digital beginning of my adulthood. Most everyone else in here had analog childhood, analog adulthood, and then as they reached a little more advanced age, now you're facing a digital world. And the high schooler or the 5th grader, everything's digital, everything. They can maneuver through things, but they will sit down and have a conversation with somebody. They don't have the ability, because of growing up in this digital world, they have a hard time having a face-to-face conversation with somebody. Like it really, really makes them uncomfortable. But if you hand them a phone, they can sit here, you can have somebody sit 3 feet away from them, and they can have the longest, most intimate, in-depth conversation known to man, because they don't have to make eye contact. They can do it through the phone. They can do it through the device. So the scammers have caught on like, well, we can't do it to the young kids. Number one, don't have the money. They don't have the economic stature we're looking for. So they go after people of a more advanced age for that. So they'll build an emotional relationship on somebody who's trying out this digital world for the first time. They'll build up the relationship, and then they'll start the asking for money or a gift card. And it's usually a sob story of some kind. They build up the relationship, and I've dealt with this here at the police department, where somebody has essentially been what we call catfished, okay? Anybody here remember Manti Te'o, who was a linebacker for Notre Dame, played for the San Diego Chargers about 15 years ago? Okay. Anyway, draft night, when he was getting drafted, there was an issue where it was discovered he had been catfished. He thought there was this girl that he had been talking digitally, and it turned out she was completely fake to death, all these things to try and extort him of money. And it was discovered on draft night because now he was going to sign a major $1 million contract. So it's not just anybody of advanced age. It's like a lot of people can be targeted with this. But like the sob stories that they would want to use, they develop the relationship with you. They're like, hey, I really want to meet you. Can I come out and visit you? I'm sorry, I work for Walmart. I don't make a lot of money. Can you help me? And you're like, sure. Yeah, let me send you, $400 or $500 for a ticket. Okay. Then it turns into, oh, hey, I couldn't make it. They wouldn't let me off work in time. Can you send me another? You send them another one. Now they're like, sorry, I couldn't make it again. My uncle is in treatment. I was like, I had to use the money you sent me to take care of them in the hospital and pay a medical bill. Can you send me more? And they just keep doing this until the person finally goes, I can't send you any more, I'm not going to send you any more money. But now they've taken a major emotional blow because the person they thought they were having a relationship with doesn't exist and is scamming them. And now they don't want to tell anybody that that this happened to them. So those are the sob story examples. But then you have the emergency examples. Or I took the money, I was coming to fly to you, my plane was forced to land in Mexico City, and now they won't let me leave. I don't have access to my bank. Can you send me a gift card? Okay. Big thing to remember is with the emergencies, they're designed to overwhelm you. Okay. You've already established an emotional bond with the person or whoever this is, and then they give you things like, I'm now stuck. I'm stuck on the border, and I've been arrested by whatever, and they're saying that I'm facing 25 years in jail because my rental car had drugs in it. I didn't know it had drugs in it. So they play these things to overwhelm your sense of what's going on. So that you're not thinking, I don't even know you, right? I don't even know you. But yet, oh, I'm going to send you a bunch of money on this thing that you're saying I'm stuck here. But you know what they don't provide you? A phone number to call them, to meet with them. They don't send you a valid picture. Okay? So anyway, be cautious of any request for money in this kind of situation. If you were trying to date somebody online or trying to meet somebody, even if it's a local thing here in Los Alamos, if they start asking for money, big red flag. Big red flag. Okay. Now again, this is the phishing and spoofing. Okay? So spoofing is the first part. It's the act of actually faking an identity, taking your personal information that they have gathered either through a data breach somewhere or talking to you on the phone or remote access into your computer, for instance, and then faking that identity to get loans, bank accounts, to make purchases into, like filing tax returns, these kind of things. That's where all that starts at, is when they start spoofing things. And then phishing is actually utilizing what they've taken and creating essentially a false person out of it to utilize. So essentially one is the falsifying of an identity, and the other is the actually act of using it. Okay? The lab gets constant probes from this, where people are they've had some that have actually shown up where they've actually spoofed an email that looks almost precisely the same from somebody else in the lab, and you click on it because, oh yeah, that's John. And the one thing that's different is somewhere instead of like .us or .gov, it's .gvo. Like you don't even notice it because it's so close. So keep an eye on your emails. If you get stuff and they're saying, hey, click on this link to take you here, or hey, you've won Publishers Clearinghouse, put your personal information inside. Or they send you, or you get an email and it's from an old friend of yours or somebody across town that you just haven't seen in a few weeks or haven't called, and they're asking like, hey, or Marie, can you send me some money? Like, I'll just drive over and meet you. No, don't drive and meet me. Just send it to me. Big flag that there's something wrong there. The one thing I can say about every scam that runs into, hang up and call the person if they're acting as if they're a friend, a family member, a pastor, anything like that, a boss. Hang up the phone and call them specifically and verify it. Because these are the kind of people, they will say things, going back to this previous one, with the emergencies and Travis, they will say, I'm in jail for murder I didn't commit, and you are getting so overwhelmed by this that you don't think that the person you're actually talking to is not the person that you think it is. You know, they'll say, they say you've got the, say like the policia or something down there, they have somebody, they're calling you, the policia is, and then you're like, well, I want to talk to my daughter. They put a woman on the phone, in many cases, will sound sick, they will sound deep, like they'll have a raspy voice, but they'll be, screaming and making, a huge scene over the phone because it's designed to overwhelm what you're thinking. They want you to think emotionally, not logically. Okay? So when they do that, I'll get you at the answer. Or did you have one right now? I wouldn't say necessarily take it seriously. I would research it and verify it, because it can be another version of a scam for people to, they'll try to say, hey, there's all this going on here. I have your way out. I can protect you from all of this. But the digital threat, I guess you could say, across the board is so expansive. To my knowledge, there is not any group that can actually protect you from every single one. You have things like NordVPN, for instance, or Norton Antivirus or something on a lot of computers that was designed to help protect against attempts of people uploading things to a computer. But even that, to this day, has gotten obsolete, and they keep trying to build up to protect it more. But these things are getting so interconnected, it's going to be tough. So I would be hesitant if there's one out there saying, I can protect you against all of this. Okay. So identity theft and account takeovers, right? Again, they've gone through the phishing or the spoofing, they've gotten personal information, and now they're filing tax returns in your name. Now they're trying to get cars. Now they're making orders on your Amazon account. Sometimes they do it for fun, and they send you some ridiculous thing that shows up at your door, and I was like, I didn't order this. And it's like I don't know what they call it, like a flange or something for plumbing, and you're just like, where did I order this? But it's on your account. One of the things to keep in mind, though, with identity theft, particularly with your credit cards and stuff like that, if you start seeing little purchases, and I mean for like 5 cents, 35 cents, $1, what they're doing is that means they've gotten your credit card information, and they're testing out the purchase before they get something big. Because if they do something big right away, there's an alert already, and the credit card company usually will decline it, or they're calling you and say, hey, is this verifiable? Is this real? But they'll start, a nickel, a dime, a quarter. They'll do a little charge like that to test it out. And once it's gone through like 3 times, means the credit card company now has deemed, okay, that purchase in that area, these are small, not a big deal, and then they hit you with something big. So check your credit reports regularly. Check your credit card every month, or every week, whatever you're on there. And talk to your credit card company. You can have them put alerts on there. It's like, hey, if there's a purchase over this amount and it is outside of whatever this 150-mile radius where I live, I want to be contacted. I want to be notified about this. Okay? Now, most of them are going to do that. So one of the things, like in order to defend against these kind of things, and again, as technology continues to just make leaps and bounds year over year, how many here remember the first cell phone? Yeah. So what was it, late 90s, I think? We had the cordless phone prior to that. We had the rotary phone prior to that. I can remember that. I know everybody else in here does too. And then you got to the 2000s, where now you started having cell phones come into play. You guys remember the first cell phones? They had the buttons that would raise up off the top of it, and you had to click on. You actually had to dial them to make a phone call, versus what they are now, which is like a push screen. Right? They were actual physical buttons you had to push. You couldn't lock that. You couldn't lock it the way you can now. So then they went from that to, hey, it's a screen and it's a touch screen now. Now guess what? Now we can put a password protection on it. It's one of the things they started to do. Then they went further. They went fingerprint access now. You can copy your fingerprint into your phone so only you can access it. Facial recognition is another one now that they've thrown in. So now you put them all together, okay, that's a lot of, like multi-factor identification, right? But then you have your apps on your actual phone, okay? So your bank accounts, If you have something with Coinbase or your credit card account or your credit cards, Blue Cross Blue Shield, right? Your insurance. A lot of people have the app on their phone to actually view their medical records, what their most recent their recent checkup showed, and to even pay bills. Sometimes a lot of people have automatic bill pay, right? You've attached your account to something to automatically pay the thing, so like your car insurance. A lot of people still go in and physically pay it, and there's a lot of people that they have it on their phone and they just automatic renewal. So they never worry about getting their cards or anything like that. It's all in that little computer device, that phone. But those apps, some of them, particularly Blue Cross Blue Shield as an example, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I have even made the mistake of telling them, no, I trust this site, stop sending me an SMS verification, which is essentially, they send you a little text message with a number in it, and they want you to put the number in to now access the app. So it's a protective measure, and it's multi-factor identification. I don't like it because it takes me 10 seconds longer to get in. But unfortunately, that's the day and age we're in. We are so used to this instantaneous gratification that waiting 10 seconds aggravates us. And that's what the scammers prey on, is that we're not going to want to do that. And then things like a reCAPTCHA, where they send you something saying, hey, verify you're not a robot. Click on the pictures of the bicycles in these things, or all the traffic lights, or all the cars, right? That's another multi-factor identification aspect. So these are things that, depending on what kind of things you're using on your phones, consider these. Okay. And then we get into, unfortunately, the advanced age-targeted scams. Okay. Unclaimed property is a big one. It's one of the biggest examples that they try to use for these things. The unclaimed property, they'll sit there and say, hey, you have that 100 acres of land in Idaho that you had no idea about. Your great-great-grandmother never told you you have this land. And they're like, there's a lien on it. All you got to do is pay the $10,000. You have 100 acres of land, and there's oil on that land. Okay? It is that ridiculous, but they will do that. And people, when they're, unfortunately, if people are down and out, or if somebody's suffering a lot of medical bills or something like that, they may jump on that because they're like, I need to be able to pay this. I don't want this to be a burden to my kids later on. So, oh, this is a great thing. And now they're getting scammed out of more money. Okay. The state of Mexico will actually send warnings about fake unclaimed property stuff. You should not have to pay to claim something like that. You certainly aren't going to pay it online. You're going in and physically meeting them, especially you're talking they have to have more than just paying the lien on that land. You have to pay for potential water rights taxes. You got to pay for, oh, there's oil on there. Now they got to survey this thing all before you can take that land. But what the scammer will tell you is you can have it right now. Okay. So if you're ever contacted about any unclaimed property of yours, verify it directly with the state of New Mexico's Treasury or tax office, or wherever it's being said that it's at. Unfortunately, most of the time you're going to be told, we have no record of anything like that for you. Okay. So kind of a recap of everything. The red flags that you want to keep an eye out for if you're ever talking on somebody on the phone and you think you're facing a scam, or these are the things that can give you that heads up that there's something wrong here. They want you to pay immediately. They want you to keep it secret. Don't tell the police. Just go get it done. It's like, if you tell the police, then you're going to have to pay all the taxes and all this stuff on it. Now, I know everybody here paid their taxes, so no worries there. But they request you to pay via gift card. It's probably the single biggest indicator somebody's trying to scam you, is they want you to pay via gift card. Okay. If they got poor grammar, they have very generic greetings, just like hello, and they don't really go further into it. They're just like hello. And they leave it like an uncomfortable silence, because it creates that uncomfortable silence. You're the one who responds and says, yeah, can I help you? That's supposed to be their job. But they leave it lingering because we're not used to having, at least in the American culture, we're not used to having it just hang out there in the air that long. So Another one. And then if there's a family member involved, the person's not going to sound right to you, but they will also be screaming at the top of their lungs or something like this to overwhelm your sense of logic to give you a sense of emotion instead. Okay. And this one, unfortunately, in Los Alamos, flat out single biggest indicator you will ever hear around here, the Los Alamos Sheriff's Office. The Los Alamos Sheriff's Office has no law enforcement control at all. They will never contact you, okay? But the thing is, these scammers, we're one of only 5 county police departments in the country. And that means we have the sheriff's powers. It's a very rare thing. These scammers don't know that. So they automatically look up, oh, they've got a sheriff's office. That's the highest ranking law enforcement official in any state, any territory, anywhere. And it's been that way for over 100 years. So they automatically assume that's the right one. Here, if you get it from them, it's completely fake. The sheriff's office has nothing to do with any warrants. They don't have anything to do with any property or seizing or arrests. They have nothing. The only thing they handle is the sex offender registry. And even then, if there's a violation of that, they come to us. So, if there's one thing you take away from all of this, if the sheriff's office ever calls you for anything, it's fake. I'll be right with you, sir. Okay. Just some of the phrases that they'll use. This is the IRS. You owe back taxes. Pay now or be arrested. I'm from tech support. Your computer's infected. Can I remote in? I can fix it right now for you. You tell me a company that is that proactive about you protecting your computer. They're not. They wait for you to call them. Send me gift cards. I have an emergency and I can't access the bank. This is the police. There's a warrant for your arrest. Pay the fee to fix this. Another indicator. There's no fee associated with a warrant. They make this mistake, the scammers do. Fees are associated with the court itself. The only thing associated with any warrant is a bond. And anybody that calls you knows the difference between that. So if they use the term fee, hang up the phone, call us, and we'll verify it for you right there. It's not a valid thing. And then this is the police. Your son, daughter, family member, you were arrested for drugs or bloody violence down on the border in a rental car. We stopped them. There was blood in the trunk. You know? Oh, let's put your daughter on. Ah! And they're screaming and you're going, but you're getting caught up in it. So you don't think about, that's actually not my daughter. So hang up that phone and call your daughter. Physically call them. Don't try to do it through that. And you're going to find, no, they're fine. It's just somebody is trying to scam you for it. Okay? If you are targeted or a victim of a scam, though, here's what you can do. If you think about it, write down the names of the representatives that you're talking to or the businesses that they're saying they represent. Because a lot of times these things will carry on, like they will, they've got different groups of these scammers and they'll try to run the same thing in multiple different locations. But they also try to use the same phone numbers associated with the same false business. That's the kind of thing that allows us to track those people. Try to get the locations where their business is at. The phone numbers that you're talking on, just check your phone after you've hung up, write down the phone number that they're calling from. Sometimes it's spoofed, where it's been faked, of which that's hard to track down, or sometimes it's actually legit. Somebody did use their own phone to do it, of which we can track it. And that's if you feel comfortable with that. But the moment you realize it's a scam, it's time to stop communication with them. And don't send any more money. Report it to us. You can contact your bank credit card company. It's one of the first things we're going to tell you to do too. If you're going to report that you're the victim of a fraud, we're going to take a case for you, but the bank itself, we're not the ones who give you your money back. The bank is. The bank is going to require a police report number to give your money back or to open up their investigation to make that decision. Okay? So we'll take a case for you. We'll document it, and we will track down everything we can about it. but you're going to have to get with us. And then you need to fill out a form with the Federal Trade Commission, which that's online with them, to say, hey, these were illicit charges, this is false, I didn't do this, and here's my police report number also. Okay? And then you can report to the Mexican Attorney General's office, the FTC. The IC3 is an FBI database that tracks a lot of this stuff, and then the local police department. Now, Los Alamos PD, we will track these as far as we can. The challenge you have with frauds and scams is that in many cases they're intercontinental crimes, which means we have to refer it over to Interpol to be able to go get something. Sometimes we can track it here in the country. Like we just did it the other day. We actually spotted somebody, tracked some people down in Florida that had tried to scam somebody here. We sent them a nice little patch from us, and then the police department in Florida went and picked them up, and there's the mail with our patch in it. So it can be done. Is that the sooner we get on it, or the sooner we know about it, the sooner we can do it. Okay. Just prevention tips for you. Look, those of you that grew up with that analog childhood, analog adulthood, and you have like a digital, elderhood, like many people, they fully understand the concept of physical crime, physical protection. Hey, let me lock my door. Let me lock my screens. Let me put a camera outside and look outside my door. But they don't necessarily have the same level of awareness when it comes to the digital world of these things. So talk with your family members. If there's somebody who has been victimized, or you're worried that they could get victimized, talk to them. Because it's going to be important for the family, because the family member who knows you as well is going to know the day that you may walk in, or you're going to know the day they walk in, they say, hey, I'm going to give, I'm sending $20,000 via this gift card to somebody in Venezuela or something. And you're just like, whoa, hang on a sec. Let's look into this a little bit. And then you find out it's a scam yourself, you just saved them from making that decision. Okay? So you gotta be in it with your family and your friends about this stuff. If there's going to be a large purchase of some kind, discuss that decision with somebody. I was like, husband, best friend, something like that. Okay? Just make sure you don't give any personal info to unsolicited callers that call you. You don't need to do that. And a strong, unique passwords with multi-factor identification is important. Now, most of us on Google, if you have created passwords on there, it'll save it to what they call your Google Drive, if you're using the Google search engine. All right? And it'll create some really in-depth passwords that it'll pick up on its own. And it's a very hard thing to even give that to somebody over the thing, because it's like a 21 letter password, and it's got all kinds of different characters and stuff in it. Okay? All right. So with that, sorry, that was kind of short and sweet or speedy about it. I'll open it up to questions. Just make sure you stay alert with it, verify everything independently, and report any suspicious activity to us. And if anybody needs it, these are the numbers that you can call. And this website here, I don't have this one linked, but that one there will also take you to some additional resources for it. Okay? All right. Oh, hang on, let me put this down. Yeah.
Recently on TV, I've seen several ads from an insurance company, I guess, that says somehow that the scammers get title to your home, and probably some way through a county clerk's office or something. Anyway, and against that, they sell your home, or they bring great financial liabilities towards you. Have you heard of such a thing? And if it actually has been done that you're aware of, how would it be resolved? It doesn't seem that, does the person who has been scammed have some compensation to get their home back, or what's the result of all of this?
So yes, we have experienced this up here. Not in the form of actually selling a home, but we've had rental scams where they put up an apartment for rent that somebody else is already in. Now, the thing with this is most of these scammers, they don't have access to, say, the watermark, paperwork, and stuff like that to create a title for these things. So unfortunately, the person who does get scammed, or like they're putting in for the rental, and they show up here, and they say, hey, I've got the deed and whatever. To like, the deed's not legitimate. So when we show up, we're kind of like, well, look, this is legally their property, the person who's already there, and it would work the same way with a house as well. But the person that unfortunately has been scammed is like, we will take a case for them, and we start working with, depending on where we can track it to, we'll either work with Interpol or the FBI or what do they call it, the IC3 in the New Mexico Attorney General's office. We'll work with them to try and get them their money back.
Who ends up liable paying the debt, though? Is it the person that owns the home? No. The owner of the home is off at that point. But that's why when we take the case, we have legitimate homeowner is marked, victim is marked, and sometimes the homeowner will be a victim too, because maybe they did lose something in this. But no, when we take the case on it, that's to also protect them down the line. It seems to me that then the real scammer is the insurance company that advertised the insurance that's not and maybe the insurance company is a scammer as much as the other person, because they're charging you for a fee that ultimately is settled and you're not liable for the...
It's one of these things where a lot of these places, they're just, what do you call them? They're facilitators of, say, that rental. You know, somebody creates an account, they pay that $10 a month, and they can put something up on Zillow or Indeed or Realtor.com or something like that. And they'll pay for that to go up there, but the business itself or the app that it's being put through, they're just the facilitator of posting it. They're not collecting anything off of it except from the actual potential offender. The potential offender is actually giving them money to try and make more, but that's not the facilitator's fault. So.
Okay, some other questions?
Is this on?
Yep.
Okay. With respect to Social Security numbers, often, like if I'm talking to a bank about something and they're going through, you know, what's your name, what's your address, et cetera, they will ask for the last 4 digits. If you think, how do you know they're the legitimate, I guess, is the question.
Well, a lot of this is up to the kind of research you've done before you call them.
Okay.
It's if you're talking about a bank out of state, you really got to look at it. If it's something in town, like, you know, this is Enterprise Bank and Trust, or this is Del Norte Credit Union, and I know these people, like, I know that's Sandra, and I've been dealing with it for 10 years.
Right.
Different thing. They are required. They ask for those kind of things because they have everything pretty much set up by your last 4 digits,
Right.
and that's why the scammers want that information so bad.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. This was really worthwhile. I guess I have this more general question as one of those people who got dragged into the digital world, whether I liked it or not, the last 2 decades or 3 decades. What I keep being mystified about is how scammers can be so widespread, and it's so hard to catch them. You know, why haven't our abilities as a society, as law enforcement, kept up with all the ways that these guys are using electronics against us?
Okay. So there's a couple of reasons for this. And unfortunately, one of them is, as many people can see out there, is that the justice system, the criminal justice system, those kind of things, it's one of the slowest moving aspects in all of government. Because when you're investigating something, you can't do the instantaneous action, or you end up causing a problem for the entire investigation. So if you are scammed out of money, I can't immediately go do it without, say, like a search warrant, depending on what I'm able to track down. I have to wait for a judge to sign that. I then also have to make sure our district attorney agrees with it, and then we can serve it, and then it has to be very specific about what you're looking for and where. So if I put something in there, say, every computer hard drive I find, any cell phones, but I don't mention USB sticks, I now can't collect the USB sticks. So the way the criminal justice system is set up is very, very slow, but it's also very slow because everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So the right to speedy trial rests on the side of the individual, not the government. Right? So if the individual wants a speedy trial, they can make that request and the government has to abide by it. But if they don't, it just keeps dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging. We've seen this, unfortunately, too many times to count in the last 10 years, where people are dragging things to avoid prosecutions of deals. So when you're talking about these impacts, it's hard for, say, law enforcement to get to be able to maintain a quick enough response and get the evidence necessary in order to prosecute the person. The other part that is very difficult is that a lot of states are still behind on what they deem the impact of fraud and scams to be. For instance, if somebody goes and attacks you, you've suffered physical injury, probably medical bills and that kind of thing. That is very easy to sit there and say, okay, that's a charge, there was a physical victim to this. But digital fraud and scam, there is a victim, but you're not physically injured. So it doesn't get the, what's the term I'm looking for? It doesn't get, say, the lawmakers all riled up because they're like, well, that's a victimless crime. Yes, somebody lost money, but nobody lost their life. So it's not treated the same way. And that's one of the hardest parts about it, is it's not necessarily viewed in the same way as an attack on somebody is. And so the laws are behind because they didn't respond to that immediately because they're like, oh, this isn't that bad. Well, now, over the last 15, 20 years, it has skyrocketed and the lawmakers are trying to catch up with it. But they're still not treated as a violent crime. So like the jail sentences and the prison sentences handed out to somebody for this are a little slap on the wrist. They are not heavy because it's all digital and you didn't physically hurt somebody. So the law is a little antiquated in this realm too with that.
I hear what you're saying. It makes sense on one level, but $35,000 per New Mexican per year. I mean, obviously, it's a few people that lost a whole lot. I think what strikes me is we are more and more and more reliant on everything working digitally, and the less trust we can have in our digital world, the more it just ties up our trust in navigating the system of so much. It seems like the trust price we're paying is very high.
Yes, it is, and this is where the push for AI is starting to come into play. This whole idea of artificial intelligence and that can protect us, because we're too used to, we want instant gratification, we want an instantaneous fix, so people are looking at AI as the cure-all for this kind of thing. But again, we don't fully understand where AI could possibly go. Like, we have the science fiction writers, we can go back and look at Robert A. Heinlein, or we can look at, I forget the, okay, I hit it, that was my bad. But yeah, so it is unfortunate. It is very hard to trust in the digital world because there are way too many, I guess you could say, holes that people can get around. There's too many loopholes legally with a lot of things because the law is not built to handle the digital yet. And is that a failure? Yeah, it is. You know, you get police officers amongst all the United States have gone in, they've testified before.
Want this?
Yeah, let's do that. I don't know where this is going to. Can you hear me? Okay. So, yeah, there's unfortunately a lot of things that, you know, years ago they didn't expect it. They didn't expect technology to make the leap the way it did, because like the technological leap just in the last 5 years compared to 1950 to 2000 is by far and away is just blowing everything out of the water. So they're trying to figure it out, and you even had, you know, police departments and stuff go testify in front of Congress and all the local legislatures and stuff like that, trying to create more like I guess you could say more punishment for this kind of crime, but it's not viewed the same way by the layperson for how we have to interpret the law. So, yes, sir.
I'm afraid we're down to one mic.
Sure. Okay. So let's say that I feel like I've, you know, been a victim of a scam or something. I call the police department, I report this. What should I expect that's going to happen? You know, how does the police department respond? You know, people are going to come to my house, they're going to call me in for an interview, that sort of thing.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so if you call for a person as a third party and say, hey, I'm concerned about my friend and they're going to do this, that's tough for law enforcement because our victim has to be willing to be a victim, right? So if you call for them and they say, no, I don't want to be a victim, we have nothing at that point that we can do. Now, if it's a family member and you're like, hey, I'm concerned that, you know, my daughter is about to send all this money, it's going to play into is like, well, do you potentially have power of attorney over your daughter or your wife or your grandparent or something like that for us to say that you have the legal right to make them a victim, right? The vast majority of the time, it has to be the person who's actually victimized. Sometimes we can work it in the third-party sense that there's something in there to create the victim, but everybody has the right to say, I don't want to be a victim, which is unfortunately part of what plays into some of these scams not getting reported, because they're like, I don't want to be. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want people to know what I went through. But if somebody does, and they call us, we come there, we'll take the report, we identify who you are, your name comes in this, we find out how much was taken, we request copies of your, say, credit card statement, highlighted showing where you're saying these are illicit charges, those kind of things. We put that into the case report. Then we guide you over toward either the FTC or your local bank so you could put holds on your accounts. And then you give them our case number, which will have all your documentation and everything and what you said, and our body-worn camera when we're talking to, all goes into that so your bank can get a copy, and most likely they're going to refund you your money. I was like, is the bank out the money? Yeah, essentially. But that's why we work with them, and they have the money versus all of you, all the citizens. The banks are kind of on the same page of like, no, we will refund your money because that was not your fault.
Can you ask him after?
I'm sorry. This is just more of a quick comment about something that I think would affect our senior community here. We have a lot of travelers, and two scams that I experienced, one in New York City, the big red buses, you know, that tour the community. You have about a minute to get on the bus. The guy comes up that's selling the tickets. He takes your thing and he says, okay, so he can't give you 2 tickets. He says the website is down. So to get on the bus, you quickly pay $40, $50 for 2 people, get on the bus, and then later the website is open and he runs the card. It happened to me in Spain also with a family. I had several family members and a big dinner and probably $500 to $600. And the same thing. Oh, I'm sorry, your card, we can't process it. The website is down. My daughter popped up quick and says, oh, well, here's the cash for the meal. I get home and it's on my charge card for the meal. So that would be common for a lot of us who travel.
Yes, that's correct. And I mean, and that one's tough. That's a tough one because at least I can't speak for what it is overseas with regards to how their law enforcement handles that. In New Mexico, for instance, there's actually what we call a what the title of it is. It is like essentially defrauding an innkeeper is the term of the law, is the name of it, where essentially it's almost like dine and dash. Like somebody purchases a meal and they run off without paying for it after they eat it. It's the same thing. And with businesses, if you go pay for a meal, then essentially your contract is done, and they're not supposed to be able to charge you again. But they also have the right, if say you're like, well, no, I already paid you cash, and they're like, well, no, you didn't. It's like you need to pay with the card now. We have to figure that out when we're there, but there are certain business protections that allow businesses to say, no, they didn't pay me. So you end up in a physical argument. What I would do in that case, if you do pay cash, is pull out your cell phone and record that you're handing the money to them physically. Because then you have something you can send either to us or to even an agency that's overseas. You can show them, it's like, I paid them, look at this, and now they charge me again. That's different. So unfortunately, that does put a little more onus on you to have to develop that evidence yourself, but that's the best way I would say you could respond to that.
Well, I think we better wrap this up and thank Sergeant Irving for this most interesting and stimulating presentation. And you've got to get to a Super Bowl party.
Thank you very much, Earl Marie. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. That was great. Really a great job.